My name is Brahm Goldstein. I am the Vice President in Research and Development for Hematology at CSL Behring. I've been at CSL now, this is my 7th year, and I've enjoyed every minute here. In terms of practice, I actually trained as a pediatric ICU physician and was in academic medicine in that specialty for about 28 years. But I've been in industry now for about 17 years. And almost all of that has been in hematology with areas of focus in hemophilia, von Willebrand disease, and others. As you know, HEMGENIX is the first and only gene therapy for hemophilia B in the United States, and to date, it's also been approved in the EU, the UK, Canada, and Switzerland. It is an AAV5 gene therapy, and it works as a one-time infusion into adult male patients with hemophilia B. And the success rate so far has been really quite impressive. The latest data from our phase 3 trial shows that after 3 years, 94% of patients remain free of continuous prophylaxis therapy. And this was recently presented at the American Society of Hematology annual meeting this last December. The HOPE-B trial was the pivotal registrational trial for HEMGENIX. It consisted of 54 adult male patients who were treated with the product. There was at least a 6-month lead-in period to establish what their annualized bleeding rate was for comparison. And that was with standard of care, which in this case was prophylaxis therapy with factor IX replacement. Then the patients were given a dose of, at the time, etranacogene dezaparvovec, which is now called HEMGENIX. Then they were monitored weekly for 12 weeks, monthly for the rest of that first year, and are monitored twice a year through year 5. And most of the patients are in that follow-up period at this point. This was an open-label, single-dose, single-arm international trial in adult patients with severe or moderately severe hemophilia B. Severe or moderately severe in this case was defined as factor IX activity levels less than or equal to 2% of normal. Importantly, pre-existing neutralizing antibodies to the AAV5 virus, which was the vector for this gene therapy, were assessed but not used as exclusion criteria. So patients were retreated regardless of what their AAV5 neutralizing antibody titers were. Of the 54 patients with severe or moderately severe Hem B that received the single dose, their mean age at the time of infusion was 41.5 years. About 57% of them had prior infections with hepatitis C, 17% with Hep B, and about almost 6% with HIV virus. About 60% of them didn't have any neutralizing antibody titers to the AAV virus, whereas 39% did. The annualized bleeding rate showed a 64% reduction in all bleeds. Of bleeds that were treated with factor IX, there was a 68% reduction. All of these are very statistically significant, by the way. There was a 75% reduction in traumatic bleeds, and an 80% reduction in joint bleeds. And superiority, even though the trial was not designed as a superiority manner, superiority to prophylaxis in the lead-in period through 3 years was demonstrated throughout the study. I think the take-home message is that with a single infusion of HEMGENIX, in most patients, will have a very substantial response. The mean factor IX activity levels at year 3 in these patients was almost 39%, remembering that 40% and above is considered normal. So in many of these patients, the factor IX activity returns close to normal. And importantly, it has remained stable over greater than 3 years at this point in these patients. The number of adverse events was small, and there was one patient who did not respond to therapy, but that patient had a very, very high neutralizing antibody titer level of over 3,000 to the AAV5 virus, but all other patients responded quite well to the therapy, regardless of their NAB status at baseline. The clinical benefit of HEMGENIX is very clear. The latest data, as I said, after 3 years, there's 94% of patients remain free of continuous prophylaxis. But there's also benefits in 2 other areas I'd like to stress. One is the economic benefits are also clear. Given that the lifetime cost for an adult with moderate to severe hemophilia can be upwards of $20 million in the US, a single dose of HEMGENIX can generate significant cost savings to the healthcare system. The payer community has responded very positively to the value proposition offered by HEMGENIX. And to date, patients who've received HEMGENIX outside of the clinical trials have been covered through their insurance. And we expect access for eligible people interested in this one-time treatment will continue in the US and elsewhere. But even more importantly, if you will, is the patient-reported outcome data. This manuscript of the PRO data has recently been accepted and is being published. And it shows that how patients feel, their quality of life, different measures of their quality of life, their confidence and ability to perform school or work-related activities has increased significantly in terms of how they live their lives and how they feel.